Get it
I
in order.
try to explain to us that.
First item will be the approve the
It's a
minutes
short
of the last
distance.
meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes as they were mailed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, building code.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners,
What about the request
I'm
tonight?
gonna do the request first.
We've got a request here to name a bridge. Let's do that first.
I'll just take your check.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good to be here with you this evening. Let me just pass these around to you. This way. Just take these and pass them down there. This is a request from out in the Midland Crescent and I guess Christiana area, Commissioner Jernigan. There is a bridge out there on Highway 260. That's that new section that they've just redone out there. This bridge is fairly new. What used to be formerly Walnut Grove Road out there for the county, but now that's part of the state highway. And I've had several individuals request that that bridge be named after a former county employee, Mr. Charles Pope. Some of you that know him real well know him as Bo Diddle. But Mr. Pope worked for the county highway department for pretty close to 40 years or better, given a whole lot of time to this county and to his community out there. Well known in that area. He and his wife have been very much involved in that community. And we'd like to see if we can name that bridge after Mr. Pope. He's turning 85 years of age, and from the encouragement from everybody out that way to do this, I'd like to see if we can request that that bridge be named for Mr. Pope.
What's the protocol for naming a bridge? We approve it and it goes on from here and it gets done?
Basically.
It's a state highway, so you would have to ask PDOT to fabricate the bridge and they'll put it up.
Yeah.
What do we do about the cost? How do we do that?
Just go on about this. I have enough money in this little flexible mayor's account.
Okay.
It'll be $300 and we'll pay for it. So don't take it through budget.
I think you need a motion.
Well,
Anybody want to chat about
I
that?
think the way you presented it, that's thorough. You're looking out for your community, and I move that we approve this request as Mr. Reed has suggested.
I second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What do you think they want the name to be? Is it going to be include the Bo Diddle or just the Charles Pope? What do you think
If that's possible, because most of the community, that's how he's known. And
Highway Farm here.
the highway department, that's how he was known. He was named Bo Diddle here in Murfreesboro.
Okay.
It's got quite a history to that name, so
Would
if
it-
that's possible, if not, just Charles Pope would be fine.
So it
So
would be
ideally, it would be Charles
Bo.
Bo Diddle Pope.
Mhm.
That's how I've seen them
What is it?
on the
Yeah.
right of ways before.
Now,
Let's do that if we can.
Okay.
thank you.
Building code.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Building Codes Department report for January. Our building permits issued was 183. Fees taken in, $52,571 for permit fees, $4,960 for plumbing fees, $1,005 for gas fees, a total of $58,536. Back of the report shows our January figures from last year. single families last year was 47, this year 53. Our total last year was 195. Total permits issued this January, 183. So we're up on single families and down on the totals a little bit. If you look at the plumbing permit numbers, our plumbing permits exceeded last year's, which made the difference in the total outcome of permits issued. So we'll catch up on our plumbing permits as we get those houses started that we've already issued. On the next report is our zoning enforcement. We performed 86 inspections in January with 10 new cases. Our next report would be our development tax collections. Building Codes Department collected $51,750. Planning Department collected $69,750 for a total of $121,500. Our cumulative total for the fiscal year, $3,206,250. A breakdown of our jurisdictions is below, with Murfreesboro having the most building activity for January. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Is that any question?
Does your entire budget come out of that? Your codes? No.
I don't,
The building codes, the 51,000 you made in January.
oh, that just, our budget comes out of general fund. All of our fees go in general on permits.
$121,500 was the development tax total for January.
Yes, sir.
And that's substantially down from the previous months. Is January usually, of course, a week ago?
Well, if you look back at October at $808,000, I'm sure that was, about 300 apartments.
Right, we had a big hit on
in jurisdictions, yeah. So that's what causes the big increase or decrease in our development tax. Mostly was the big apartment buildings or
Last year it was pretty low as well. January it was a drop-off.
okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll move that we approve his report as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Thank you. Thank you.
Planning.
Good evening, Commissioners. Really well. All right, just have a few things for your consideration tonight. The first, of course, is our available lot inventory that's on your iPads. If you go to, I guess that would be the fourth page on your iPad, you'll see that we have a total available lots in the county at 601. And we're still seeing a little bit of fluctuation. That's actually down from last month. I think it was about 625 last month. We had a number of new permits and existing subdivisions be issued, and we only had really one major subdivision be recorded. So that's the reason for that decline. The next 2 pages after that, pages 5 and 6, would be those that are not recorded. Had one expire, so we took that one off the list, but you can see that's holding fairly steady, about 2,039 that are in some form of approval right now.
I'm sorry, this is what we're seeing.
Excuse me.
That's a different format.
That's a
than
different.
previously?
That's actually a different report. Let me see what we got here.
He's on the second report.
Yeah, I'm on the. If you look down on the
Inventory,
list,
thank you.
yes, sir. Yes, that's what I'm talking. I'm sorry. I'll get to that other one just
Thank you.
a minute.
I jumped ahead of
No,
it.
you're
Thank
fine.
you.
We know that we're going to be getting probably some different submittals this coming week. We just had a meeting today with one of the engineers in town, and we know they're going to be submitting a couple new projects this Friday. So, I expect that these numbers, even on the not recorded list, are going to change probably somewhat between now and next month. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. Getting on to the report that Commissioner Dodd was talking about, that would be the subdivision report 2015. This is something that we give the Planning Commission every year after the calendar year is over, and the next two documents we'll be talking about. The first one is the subdivision report. This just kind of gives you an overview of the plans that we've seen at the Planning Commission, the preliminary plans that have been approved, any plat extensions, final plats, and then those that have been recorded. Again, these are what we would typically call major plats, anything with 4 lots or greater as we track them. You'll notice on the chart, there's a chart on page 3 of that report, and you'll see kind of a history there from 2004 to the present. You can see we maxed out pretty high in 2007. Of course, then the recession hit. You can see we bottomed out in 2011 of only 60. And it started fluctuating upward from there from 2012 to 2014. It took a little bit of a decline in 2015, only 190 lots created. That doesn't really give me much concern knowing how much we have in the hopper right now with new developments coming online. And again, just knowing that we've got some new ones even coming this week. So I anticipate that number, in the next few years is probably going to shift upward. So that's just, again, for your information. The other, after that chart, there's a couple of other tables there. These are looking at minor plats that were approved by the Planning Commission. Just to give you an idea of those, most of those had to be approved by the Planning Commission. Those with 3 lots had to be approved because we can't approve anything greater than 2 lots administratively. The ones that have 2 lots or 1 lots are probably, they have waivers related to them of some sort, maybe a fire hydrant waiver or a private easement or something like that. So that's why those are all on there. And then the very last page of that just gives you the list of site plan approvals that came through the Planning Commission. And if you ever want information on any of those, we'd be more than happy to do that. They're actually in your Public Works report that I'll go over here with a minute. We put a sheet in there every month regarding the Planning Commission's activity of different site plans, gives a little bit more detail. So if you ever just need information on that, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to give that to you. The document that's called PC 2015 Work Schedule Report and 2016 Priorities. I'm not going to go into just a whole lot. Really, this is just for your information. This is something else we do for the Planning Commission every year. We kind of go over the different projects and things that we worked on during the calendar year 2015, and then we put in there some of the things that we feel we're going to be working on in 2016. This isn't an all-inclusive list by any means, nor are we locked into this. These are things that we know need to be addressed. Throughout the course of the year, though, things will come up that maybe we didn't anticipate, so sometimes things have to be shifted around. We don't get to work on something that we wanted to, but we have to work on something different that wasn't included on this. So again, that's really for your information. If you want any further information or have any questions on that, again, please feel free to give me a call. I'll be more than happy to discuss that with you. Excuse me. Going on to our planning and engineering report, we just have one rezoning application coming before the Board of Commissioners next week. This is for a piece of property located along Miller Road, off the Epps Mill Road exit in the Cannon area. The applicant would like to rezone about 10 acres of the property. The property itself is still about, it's about 10 acres of land is what they're asking for. So they're not asking for the entire property, but they'd like to use the portion that they'd like to rezone as a mini warehouse type development. They're asking for the employment activity center zoning. Mini warehouses are only permitted by special exception in this zone. So even if they do get approval of this particular application to go forward with a mini warehouse type development, they will have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The applicant has been made aware of that and understands that is the case. There wasn't a whole lot of discussion on this at the Planning Commission. Staff did have some concerns about just the water availability in the area. Not exactly a heavy water user by any means, but really more from the fire protection side. Chief Farley is aware of this, and of course, if we do see a site plan, if this is approved, he'll be involved as far as being able to provide adequate fire protection and to meet the fire codes that are in effect. But as far as any other discussion at the Planning Commission, there were some questions about what zoning is typically required, or what do we typically see for a mini warehouse type development. And again, we went over some of our concerns, again, dealing with the fire protection. But ultimately, the planning commission did recommend approval of the request by unanimous vote. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on that if you have any.
So the EAC, it's bordered by EAC.
Yes, sir.
It's contiguous in one corner and close to the north.
Correct, yes, sir. That whole area right in there is under the major employment center node, under the comprehensive plan, which was the EAC zone, Employment Activity Center. That was why we created that zone, was to match up with that node.
How close is it to the exit? Is there an exit?
It's, yes, sir. It's a little further up the road. Miller goes up to here, kind of curves around and hit Epps Mill. You know, as the crow flies, you're probably talking, I'd say maybe half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, if that, as the crow flies.
In your professional opinion, this is a good use for.
Yeah, especially
to blend
considering
in?
it's going to be, a lot of the buildings will probably be close to the interstate, backing up to the interstate. I don't foresee this land really developing as a residential subdivision,
And
being that close to the
This
the
one
interstate.
piece of REM
Mhm.
is a single family, 15,000 square feet.
Yes, this whole tract right here, this is actually the same property. And this
Okay, I
piece
see.
right here was actually carved off of that. I think these were too, but this piece was carved off of this larger tract, and it's just another similar carving out for another.
Does the same
potential
party
use.
own the REM? The same family, the same
The brothers, I
landowner?
believe it is, yes, sir. Well, as far as those tracts right above it, I'd have to look at that. I know they own the rest of the remaining of this tract.
That has that
I
REM.
want to say they do, but I could be mistaken on that.
Thank you.
Anybody have more questions?
Motion to accept the reports.
Second.
We'll get a second.
Second.
Okay. Sure. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Solid waste man.
How are y'all?
Good. Matt?
If y'all don't mind, let's start with convenience center report first. And I'll ask the mayor to help me a little bit on the landfill side of it. So we'll go different. The reason I want to start with, part of the reason I want to start with the convenience center report first is most of you probably got a few phone calls 2 weekends ago. We were closed because of weather. We got several phone calls. I'm sure y'all got a few. Weather-related activities are a hard one for us. We do not have any snow removal equipment. We don't have enough snow events to actually justify buying any. I have not checked into seeing if we can hire a contractor to clear those for us, but that's possibly a possibility, but I'm not sure that's one that's actually worth looking into. The hard part for the residents is to know when we are closed. You know, but the main reason we were closed that week, we opened on Tuesday and ran normal Tuesday. Before we could open on Wednesday, the snow started coming in, so we never opened. We already had a few trucks out. It took a while to get those back in, and we sent people home. Thursday we ran, and I saved 10 loads on Thursday to start Friday morning with, because, you know, the drivers need something to do before the centers get open. We didn't haul those 10 loads until the following Tuesday. It was closed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Monday, we sent the drivers out in pickup trucks with bags of salt, shovels, and rakes to get the centers ready to open. I mean, they still had ice. So it's a safety thing for us. Fortunately, we have not had a customer slip and fall on ice, but we have had drivers and employees do so. So the decision to close was for a safety reason. A lot of people just don't understand that, and we had a lot of phone calls, and I'm sure y'all got some too, on Sunday afternoon. You know, it warmed up quite a bit. The road conditions got a lot better, but the centers still weren't. They hadn't had any activity. I thought about changing the policy to say, if schools are closed, we're closed. But that doesn't necessarily apply to us all the time. So I don't really want to go that direction after I thought about it further. But if you got complaint calls, it was more for safety than anything else. Other than that, the convenience centers have been running fairly well. A little bit busy. This is kind of getting into the slowing down period of time for us. We will pick back up at spring break. For some reason, when schools are out spring break, our trash goes way up. And it happens at fall break as well. But I wanted to address that on the convenience centers. And if you've got ideas on, what we need to look at, what we need to study about, I'm glad to listen to them and look into them. But for now, I think the best thing is just to look at the safety side of it and make the call at that time.
I think most people understand that myself.
Most of them do. You've got some that just,
I mean, you're gonna have some on just about anything, but
I only had one complaint, so that's not many.
Well, my recyclables were piling up in the garage, and I was curious whether the convenience center would be open. So I just went online, and it easily showed me that no, they weren't due to weather. So if people just check on the website, they'll know that
right.
the site's closed.
OIT set our whole building up with a new phone system, which we're still trying to get accustomed to. But through this event, I learned some things about the phone system. It will hold up to 4 messages as far as outgoing type message, and it has a timer on that message. You can set it to come on at a certain time, go off at a certain time.
Okay.
So Friday, we left early Friday because we closed. I went back Friday evening and set the message to start then and go off, for Saturday, but to go off at 5 a.m. Sunday morning. We get a few calls during the night, but not that many. Well, Sunday morning I woke up and I looked out and I thought, well, we're going to close, and I'd already gone in Saturday and changed that message, but I didn't change the time. So it still went off at 5 a.m. on Sunday. So I sat in my office a little after 7 correcting that for the phone calls. We did not have a single message left. Now, we had several calls that came in, but nobody left a message. Any questions on convenience centers?
Just kind of random, what does a compactor cost?
The machine itself is about 20,000 or a little higher. We haven't bought one in quite a while, and the receiver box that goes along with it, which is a separate entity, is a little over 9,000.
One receiver box per compactor, or do you haul it off and you have to have another one to set in its place?
We have extra receiver containers. I think we've got 18 extra receivers. Those sit on the hill yard usually, or at our office. What we typically do when the drivers leave out in the morning, they will have an empty container on the truck, either an open top or a receiver box. If we've got several compactors to haul, we'll send 2 drivers to go to that location. If you've got the compactor on your back and I've got the open top on my back, I try to be in front of you. I set my open top down, I back up to the full compactor, I load it up, and when I get it out of the way, you set your empty in place, you get your full open top. We're on our way to landfill. And we may do that 3 times that morning at different locations, just trying to get everybody up and running. The way we operate, Sunday used to be our busiest day. It's still fairly busy. Now Tuesday's actually our busiest day. But when we start on Monday morning, our total focus is to get the centers ready to open, not empty. We cannot get all the loads hauled, but we've got to get enough of the loads hauled in every location to where we can open for business on Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, we'll continue that process. And of course, a lot of times on Tuesday, we lose ground. A lot of times they'll generate as many loads or more loads on Tuesday as we can get hauled. But throughout the week, we gain on them, and most of the time by Friday, we're caught up and ready for Saturday again.
The tonnage of a compactor load obviously is compressed into less cubic yards that we're hauling off.
It's roughly a 4-to-1 compaction rate.
Does that create longevity to the landfill if we compact it before it's placed, or does that make any difference?
The landfill,
once they're rolling it in, it's compacted anyway?
Right. The landfill part of it is really not a thing. Where it helps us a lot is on hauling the volume.
Number of loads?
Right. If you can get a 4-to-1 compaction ratio and a compactor will range, depending on what you put in it. I mean, if you put a lot of rough stuff in it, it won't pack as well. You put a lot of compactable stuff, you can get a compactor that weighs as much as 18 tons. Ours usually run around 10 tons. But you haul a 10-ton compactor load, it's going to cost you the same operational cost of that truck from point A to point B as anything else, even if you're just driving it for nothing. And then the average open top load is somewhere, depending on what they put in, it's usually the average a little over 2 tons,
2.
a little over 2.
So have you ever done a analysis to capital investment of hardware and savings over a period of time on loads?
We have, and one thing that I've really thought about very seriously, and right now I've decided it's not the thing to do, is on the plastic loads. Plastic is a whole lot of air. You know, most of the beverage containers are still completely intact. If they were collapsed, then you'd save a little airspace. If you put those things into a compactor, you're going to reduce that volume quite a bit. You probably won't get 4 to 1 because of the lids and stuff. It won't capture it all. But when I was a driver in the private industry, we had a company in Shelbyville that we hauled that made toothpaste tubes. And the ones that didn't form right, they put in a compactor, and it was the biggest mess when you pulled that out because those toothpaste tubes run out like water. And that's my fear with the plastic beverage containers. When you pull it away from the machine that packs it up, you're going to have yards of it that just flows out onto the ground. You know, so I don't think that's going to be the way to go with that one. But we do compact the trash, we do compact cardboard. Cardboard depends on how often they run it and what they put in it. Eagleville cardboard compactor goes about 3 times a year, and it'll weigh 7.5 tons each time. But what happens there is every time somebody throws a cardboard box in it, they'll run the machine. You go to Weekly Lanes, that cardboard compactor goes more than once a week, and it'll weigh about 4.5 to 5.5 tons. You're not getting as many cycles on it, so you're not being able to pack it as well. We do get a lot of questions on cardboard. Why do I have to have it broken down? That machine will break it down. That is true. The only reason we want it broken down is we know it's empty. That way you've already taken your trash, your styrofoam, all that type of stuff out of it. But, you know, to put some of the open top load type material in a compactor, you can, and it would probably save some space, and it, you know, you'd probably gain a few loads, not a lot. Marion County, Tennessee has convenience centers. I think they've got 6. They don't have any open top containers. They've got a trash compactor, and that's all they have. And if it won't fit in the compactor, then you got to go to the landfill. So if you've got, you know, a table and a chair, you can throw it in there. If you've got a sofa, it won't fit. It will fit if you run it long enough. You can get it in there.
I just don't want to get us too distracted. I was just curious. We got other places to put capital improvements, but I think.
And we're looking at the possibility of doing some convenience center changes around, and we have 3 older machines that are out of service, and I've checked on them and I had them looked at. They are worth rebuilding. You know, so if we do a new convenience center, instead of buying 3 new machines, we'll probably spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $15,000 to rebuild those 3 instead of $20,000 a piece, and spending $60,000 to buy 3. You know, so we're going to look at that, and we haven't bought an open top container since I've been here, but we spent a lot of money rebuilding the ones we have. And the way we look at that is if it's going to cost half the value of the container to rebuild it, then it's not worth it. Any other questions on convenience centers? All right, our landfill is staying busy, and we've got a lot of things going on out there. Of course, you know, the trash volume coming in out there is increased. I think we're 22,000 tons last year. When I got here, it was 4,000 tons a year. That'll give you an idea of how much we've increased. But there's a lot of other things that we need to talk about for the landfill. Mr. Mayor, if you want to work your way up here, you can help me with some of it. But we do have a methane migration problem. Used to, everybody thought we had a leachate problem, and it's a methane problem. And we're probably going to have to address that, or not probably, we are going to have to address that and try to either capture it or get it vented. So that's going to be an expense that we're probably going to add into next year's budget. If we get the opportunity to start earlier, we'll probably will, and maybe just go back into fund balance and pull some money to get it started earlier. But that's one of the issues that we need to get addressed pretty soon on the C&D site. Well, it's not the C&D site it's actually causing, it's the old closed site that's actually causing that. But I think I've told you in the past that on landfills you have a 30-year monitoring period after it's closed. They consider it closed when you no longer have issues. we still have issues. Ours is not considered technically closed. Our 30-year period for monitoring has not started yet.
Previously, we had some wet wells issues. Is this a continuation of that?
That is, the
Research.
the wells is something we monitor quarterly for groundwater contamination, and the wells are showing that they've been contaminated with vinyl chloride and a little bit of benzene in a few of them, and that's been attributed to the gas migration. And vinyl chloride is kind of a good thing because all the other constituents starts breaking down and it winds up being vinyl chloride, and it's kind of the last step before it, you know, finally gets healed up. But that's the stage that we're in, and we've been in that for quite some time. The other thing at the landfill is we've been approached and asked about doing tire recycling.
And what?
Tire recycling at our landfill.
And listen, give them just a little bit of background on how this tire recycling is working. In other words,
Okay.
what happens and who's responsible and what we're having to do with it.
Are we finished with the methane?
This
We
this
can
methane,
be,
it's,
or we can back up to it later.
Okay.
yeah, it's nothing else. Really and truly,
Later on, we're going to have to
actually
give us some
identifying
detail, cost
exactly
detail.
what the problem is or the source of the problem is, it's an art. It's not a science. And so right now, we're not exactly sure from whence this is happening or from how we're going to actually take care of it, to be honest with you. It's not creating any substantial difficulties, but it's something we are addressing, and we don't know what we should do tomorrow about this exactly.
New landfills that are built today and have been built since the 90s had a whole lot of different regulations from what ours had when it started. So to say, did we do something wrong back in the 70s? Technically, no. We followed the regulations. Under today's standards, it wasn't correct. But, you know, I think I've told you before, on the landfill, you go in, you dump everything, you cover it up today, and tomorrow you remove that dirt and touch all your trash touches. That didn't happen. So when you're designing a landfill, you design a place for that methane to go, and you design a place for your leachate to go. That way you know where it's going to be and you control it once it gets there. Our landfill has all those little pockets in it and no design control, so we're dependent, or it's dependent on Mother Nature to find the way to go. And we don't know what Mother Nature's sending, where she's sending it, so it's hard to capture.
And on top of this, our landfill has been closed long enough that most people tell us that the methane, I mean, the decomposition should be over. So we don't know why we continue to have some of this, quite honestly. And most of these flares that we have out there, no methane is coming out of them. They're not flaring, so it's hard to find problems. It's a needle in a haystack, okay, so I'm just sort of saying that.
Well, years ago, one of the things that they wanted us to put vents, and we call them candy canes. You know, the candy canes like you see at Christmas, except they don't have stripes on them. They dug a trench over near the Middle Point landfill property line, and there's 21 candy canes that are anywhere from 5 to 11 feet deep, and they stretch out probably to almost 300 feet long. And when you monitor those candy canes and it's supposed to vent the methane, there is zero methane coming out of it.
So that's a good thing, but there are some other indications,
Right.
okay?
But on the, any more questions on the, okay. On the tire recycling, the tires have been a problem for Tennessee for quite some time. When it started several years ago, the method of dealing with tires is where the $1.35 per tire pre-disposal fee comes in, and that's to help the dealers to get rid of the tires. And there were several different vendors in the way that, and it was a tire grant set up by the state, and as long as the tires were used for beneficial end use, you can't just bury them, then we were eligible to get $1, you know, for the tire. Of course, that grant has gone away now. It's been restructured, but we still do similar. All those little vendors have been bought out. There's only one. So every time we put it out for bid, there's only one vendor that bids on it. And they don't even operate their plant in the state of Tennessee anymore. Most of our tires wind up going to Atlanta. And it's not a problem for just Rutherford County. It's a problem for all of Middle Tennessee and the middle sections of East and West Tennessee as well. So our price to get rid of tires is $65 a ton. We have to pay them $65 a ton to take care of our tire, and we do not have a transportation charge. So our charge is just a flat $65 a ton. It doesn't matter if it's a bicycle tire or a wheelbarrow tire or a big Euclid tire. It's still $65 a ton. Some of the other counties, like Cheatham County, their disposal cost is $144 a ton plus transportation cost. You know, so it varies depending on, you know, where the tires are coming from and the distance you're hauling. But we've been approached to see if we'd like to host a tire recycling facility here in Rutherford County.
Let me sort of say a few things right here. This is not just Rutherford County, this is a statewide problem, as he just said. But there's an organization that you're a part of called Tennessee County Services Association, and they have done a few things as a partnership with the counties. Like they've got they've got basic insurance things available for the county. So they're sort of the conduit, you might say, for some partnership arrangements with the county. So they have come up with a proposal. It's not officially a done deal yet by any means, but they're trying to work with 54 of these counties, which is all of Middle Tennessee and more, to find some way to give us some assured method that we can dispose of these tires without being completely dependent on just one person that will do this, which is going to eventually cost us a whole lot more money. We just happen to be in a place where we're not having to pay this transportation. All right, so they're proposing and are developing. All we're telling you tonight is this: we're on a journey of acquiring information about how this would work and trying to get enough data together so we could really know what this is going to look like. They have to have a site somewhere to take care for everybody to bring their tires to. And they're going to put, these would be buildings, they're going to furnish equipment that's going to grind these tires up. They have found a third party that they can ship these, what do you call them, the chips or whatever they come up with here for energy sources, etc. So TDEC is involved. There is a fee. When you buy a new car, there's a fee assessed for 4 or less tires on a car than if it's 10 or less. So they get, it's $5 for the lease number and it goes to $10. So there's a pool of money that TDEC is collecting. All right, so I'm just giving you the overview of this. And so they have some money to issue some grants with. So TCSA is developing a partnership. They will be the controlling entity of this. They're going to have some private entity to manage and operate the facility. They're going to find a location. They want somebody. Rutherford County is one of the folks they've talked to. They've talked to a few other counties to be the host site. We wouldn't run the thing. We just furnish the property and the building, and they would lease this building from Rutherford County over enough years to be sure we get paid for our money. So all I'm telling you, we're in a discovery process, and we don't have enough data to give you a hard proposal of how this is really going to be. MAC is working on developing the cost for the site and the building, so we'd have some rough idea about what this is going to be. We need to see some sort of proposed lease from TCSA, what that would look like, how many years they're going to pay this back on. And we don't know exactly yet what the permit process would be with TDEC on this. So he's just in the beginning phases of discovery and acquiring information. And if this is done somewhere else, now the beauty of this being done here, we won't have any transportation costs. If they put it off in another county, we'll have to haul our stuff over there. So that's one benefit of it. So I don't know what I'm missing here, Mac, but in any event, we've had the people from TCSA have been up here, made this proposal to us, at least initiated the discussion. We're not in any position to make a recommendation to you because we don't have enough data, enough information to even know what to tell you this is going to look like totally. So under the assumption that Matt gets all this done before he has this surgery, he does all the discovery and gets us enough information, we hope this can happen. So they sort of want to determine who's going to be the place, the location. we need to take this to property management, and if we get our data together, we're gonna take it to property management at their next meeting, which will be February the 25th. Then we're gonna come back to this committee on March the 8th with whatever we found out, and hopefully it'll be pretty definitive kind of data, and see what you wanna do with it, and then we'll go from there, okay? We'll have to go to budget, we'll have to go to commission. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, and we don't know if we're in a position, or whether we will be in a position to even say we want to do this with TCSA. But we just want to let you know that discussion is taking place. We're not making any decisions. We don't have that ability anyway, but we'll be back, at least to tell you, if we're moving forward, we'll tell you. If we found out it's not something we think we should do, we'll tell you that.
When you said everyone could bring their tires to it, is this all Middle Tennessee?
These 54 counties would bring tires.
There's only one location.
One location. I mean, it's gonna take over $1 million to equip this operation with just the equipment. We wouldn't be responsible for that. We'd be responsible for the building only.
And the land.
And the land.
Be $50,000 just for Middle Tennessee Electric to get the three-phase power to where we need it to be.
I would assume that that would also provide employment
Yes.
for our community.
Yeah, whoever does this would be a private entity. That TCSA will have a contract with the private entity. It won't be us. We won't run the place. We won't do anything except provide the place. If all of this works out and the commission, in your wisdom, decide it's the right thing for us to do. So
The long-term vision for CTAS is to get one started in Middle Tennessee, and then once it's up and running and basically profitable, all the debts are paid and they're saving some money, and then they'll start another one in the east and another one in the west, and then they'll have enough to actually service, you know, to where not everybody's hauling long distances and all that kind of stuff. That's their long-range plan, but that'll take years to get there.
Is the grant money available to help with the purchase of the property?
No. The grant money is only available for the equipment and the operation. In other words, so whoever takes on this responsibility for the building, they'll have to provide the money, and they'll be paid back through some sort of lease arrangement.
And there is
And we'd
some,
also save the money on not having to pay the,
Yeah, we wouldn't.
Shipping.
We'd be shipped. We would have no transportation costs.
now there is some grant money available through TDEC for what they call a hub and spoke. The hub is where you actually do all the work, and the spokes is where the people bring it into you, and this would qualify for that. The timing is not right for that grant right now, but this would start out as a small operation, so my suggestion is we don't build the full thing, and then we apply for the grant, hub and spoke grant, to finish it.
Anyway, we just don't have enough data to give you any more information than that, except we thought it was important that you know that this discussion is sort of taking place, all right?
I have one other question, and you may not have the information yet, but will this be something, if we choose to do this, will this be something we can maintain some control over and not let it wind up like a landfill?
Oh yeah, this would be a specifically site. This site is not the whole thing out there. It's just a little parcel that would put these structures on, and it won't have anything to do with, it won't interfere, we don't think at this point, with what we're currently doing in any way.
But we will be able to maintain some type of control over that plant.
Well, we'll have to. I mean, it'll be TDEC, even though they're a partner and they're providing grant money, we'll have to, this thing has to stay in compliance with all of their rules and regulations, and so from that viewpoint, it has to be controlled.
And as the landlords, we'd still have some control over the property upkeep, that type of stuff as well.
Yeah.
We need to maintain some control in the
Yeah.
future.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay, so that's the end of that. Now he's got one more item he wants to mention to you.
We've talked about it quite some time, and we talked about the possibility of a waste authority type situation. We've done some investigation, and the city of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County have done more talking than anybody else, and the city of Murfreesboro is pretty much on board with us. But one thing that we mentioned is needs to happen to be an interlocal agreement between all 5 governments or more, whatever it's going to take to do that. And then we're also going to need consultants to guide us through probably the waste authority type process to get us there, and then also to guide us through making the right decisions for the right type of solutions that's going to be in our future.
What he's really saying to you is this: we don't know where this is going to lead, but we think, all of us think, at least the city and county, that we need some professional guidance to help us develop a plan to where we should go and what we should really be trying to accomplish and what information and decisions we need to make. So Mayor McFarland has talked to the other one town and the other cities. The first step in this, and I don't know what will turn out as far as what their recommendation is, to he has found that all the other jurisdictions, including us now, we think we should do this. We will agree through an interlocal agreement. This will be a simple interlocal agreement, I think, this first go around, to simply hire a consultant, craft an RFP that describes what we want this person to do and what we want the outcome to be, but hire a consultant / engineering firm to help us with this journey, this study, because we're not properly equipped. But we'll be responsible for providing an RFP to take proposals from these firms that will determine that are qualified to do this kind of work, and there are several of them out there. But the interlocal agreement first would simply be that we're all committed to sharing in the cost of this engineering process on a pro rata basis based on the population of our jurisdictions. So that would simply be the first step, whatever these bids come in at, and if we all agree that we're going to accept them, we're going to all step up and we're going to pay our part to this engineering approach. So we haven't got an interlocal agreement even proposed, drafted yet. All we simply want to tell you again here tonight is this: we think this is something we need to do. We'd like to continue this discussion with all of the other jurisdictions. We'd like to see if we can craft some sort of interlocal agreement that would commit us and get us everyone to agree to this, and we'd all have to sign it before we actually issue the RFP and even take the proposal. So that's what, and then we would bring back at whatever point we can get this interlocal agreement drafted, and which would outline just the simple part that we're all going to pay our part. Then we bring it back to you, and each jurisdiction would have to take to their governing body and get consent to do that. And then we'd issue an RFP as a joint group and take proposals.
Would we also need up front an RFP, an initial RFP, to get a consultant to help us write the first RFP?
I don't know.
Because I don't know if we're qualified to do that.
We haven't talked about that in that much detail. Sometimes, there's a two-step process. You could put out requests for qualifications,
right,
to be, find out that we've got people that we think really equipped to do this, and then we could do the RFP after we selected a few people that were qualified. We could do some combined process of RFQ / RFP concurrently. So in the event, we don't know about that yet, but we'll let Mac and Joey and some of the other managers, town managers, city managers, sort of wrestle with that. Well, we won't do anything until we see if we can get this agreement that we're all going to participate in and craft a document that we can bring to each of the jurisdictions and for proposal.
Do you have a timeline on that?
We'll be out of time before we know it. To kind of answer your first question is I have a copy of a similar type situation that another large city has done for a similar thing. So that's kind of a blueprint we can go by.
Mac is off on a journey of the not necessarily just this RFP process. He's talking about this waste authority. Now the waste authority might be step 2. I'm not sure that's going to be step 1. So I'm just saying we don't know yet how this is going to take place. But that might be, the waste authority recommendation might come out of this study, okay?
Yes. The consultant should come first, and they would help us through the waste authority.
Or that discussion or any other, maybe a dozen other things they come up with that are possibilities, and maybe give us 2 or 3 options. We don't know the outcome of that yet, all right? So we just want to let you know that discussion is taking place, and we don't have anything yet to put in front of you to say, this is where we all have already, we'll get some sort of reasonable consensus out of these other jurisdictions before we move forward. No need in us approving something unless they're all in.
And it's all gonna cost a lot of money. The part I hate. I won't be out of pocket toward the end of the month, so I'm working on my budget to get it prepared, but I plan on being back here for budget night next month. You're skeptical, but I'm not.
But we'll see. We hope you do recover that quickly.
Oh, you got it back.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of stuff, good information.
Can I go back one topic on the tire? The County Services Association, did they give you an idea about how many acres they would need to accomplish this? 10 acres. Okay.
And we have that.
Okay.
On our current site.
On the way.
Yeah. I think I know the answer to this question, but I gotta ask. Does TCSA, they would be a partner with a private organization?
They wouldn't,
The private organization would simply be hired to manage and operate.
They would have a management agreement with a private
So
entity.
they're not making any money on this deal?
They're making whatever they charge to manage and operate. But they're
Who
not-
are you talking about?
I'm talking about the County Service Association. They're not making a dime off of it.
Oh, no, they are making money.
They are making money.
Yeah, that's how they gotta pay back all their debts and then move forward on the next
Okay.
project.
There's a $900,000 match on this grant or thereabouts, so they're gonna have to make enough money somehow to pay that back or fund that grant
Okay.
part of it.
All right. And what about TDEC? TDEC can't make any money
No,
off this
TDEC's
deal.
not making any money.
Okay.
TDEC is collecting that tire fee. That's where the grant money is coming from.
Interesting.
Any other questions?
Did you approve, did you get his, is this part of his report? So you gotta, you haven't approved it yet?
Right.
No,
Okay,
no,
all right.
That's the next step.
So you're finished with your reports?
Yes, sir. Unless you have more questions.
I'll make a motion to accept the reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you don't envision some 5-story pile of tires that are smoldering in the,
No.
with mosquitoes,
The schematic.
harvesting mosquitoes in all the tires where they're wet?
Schematic drawings are more of an animated type drawing that I've seen is the actual tires, inbound tires would be all under roof, kept inside, and then once the tire chips are produced, then they would be left outside. But the mosquito problem would, is usually when you pile up tires and let rain get on them. Yeah, so they'll be under roof to keep that from happening.
Back in the day, technology wasn't quite there. The problem with the tire reground was the steel belted radials.
Mhm.
Has technology come to a point to where that's an easier thing to handle?
I have not seen it, but I have been told that there's a machine that they take the tire and they lay the machine in it, and there's a finger that goes through the edge of the metal,
Grabs the wires?
grabs through the center of the tire and tries to pull that tire through that little slit.
Huh.
Well, the only thing that comes out is the
It's the
wire and
wire.
leaves the tire.
Interesting.
I'd like to see it happen.
That one too, yeah. Which brings a great question. Is there one of these facilities somewhere in the southeast that you or
There's several
members
tire
can visit?
facilities. Liberty Tire is the current contractor that we have, and that contract expires August. They were grinding tires in Nashville on Cement Road, if you know where that is.
Yeah.
They still take the trailers up there and store them, but they don't actually grind tires there. So the tires are either going to Atlanta or Mississippi or somewhere in Kentucky.
We need to see one of those in operation before we said, okay, you can put one here.
They're apparently available equipment. Lots of dollars
And
per
they say
machine.
the shredding machine that shreds the tires is much quieter than the mulch machine the city has.
Yeah.
Now they got magnets that pull that metal out after it's
Yeah.
chipped up. So
Yeah. And most of that tire material would be used for boiler fuel, what they use it for.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve his report. All in favor?
Aye.
Good report tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We adjourned.
So we have no highway department?
Highway department.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So you have surgery the end of this month?
I have it on the 18th,
Oh, yeah, John, you go all.
and on the 24th of